back to Played In with Heather O'Reilly and Lori Lindsay.
She's a 3-time NCAA champ, a 2-time gold medalist, a 2-time World Cup winner, one of the founders of Re-Inc. It's our friend, the yin to my yang, Tobin Heath. What's up, buddy? It is so good to see you, your smiling face. I know all the listeners can't see your smiling face, but great smile, great gnashers. One time we were in England and told Tobin she had great gnashers. I was like, what does that mean? I thought they were referring to something else. No, they were talking about her teeth. Tobin, it's so nice to see you, buddy.
What an intro. I feel really happy.
We warned you.
To be able to chat. Obviously, we go back a long way, Heyo. And Lori, we spent many good memories on the U.S. Women's National Team together. But thank you for that intro. At first, I thought you were introing yourself. You know, we've shared so many parallel paths. I was like, are we talking about ourselves
That
now?
wouldn't be a departure, actually, how this show goes.
Yeah,
so.
It's a little self-absorbed around here. No, but Tobin, to your point, you have won, and me. But we're talking about you here. You have won a lot of stuff in your day. Obviously, that was part of the intro, but there's not many American soccer players or international players that have won as many trophies as Tobin Heath. Taking a little bit of a timeout from the game right now, getting your body back from a couple injuries. But tell us what you're up to right now. Tell us about Re-Inc. and what you're excited about there.
Yeah, it's funny how like life goes, but I was given this nickname when I was young, which was Soccer Junkie, because I just am absolutely obsessed with football. Like I play it because I love it. I love my craft. I love doing it. So when I had to take a bit of a pause due to injuries, which I'm still just like a maniac rehabbing those. And I feel like a little bit like Tony Cruz in a way. I don't know if you guys saw his kind of retirement, but he was talking about I'm never going to go play in Saudi. I'm never going to go play in the MLS. Like he has kind of a version of football in his head that is how he views like his career. And I think everybody's unique and different. But for me, that's kind of like the same like kind of thing I have in my head is I've experienced like football at like such a high level. And that's where I find the most joy and the most passion is just this kind of maniac of a footballer. So obviously getting my body back to a place where if that is to be God's will for me to keep playing, that would be the level that I would want to be at. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, we've just been world building around this thing called women's sports, which hello, women's sports. And it's funny because our company, Re-Inc, actually started and founded by 4 U.S. Women's National Team players, the 2 Megans, Megan Rapinoe, Megan Klingberg, Kristen Press, and myself. And we started the company actually back in 2019. And as many people can remember, that year 2019 was pretty iconic because it both represented our pay equity fight, but it also represented, our kind of back-to-back World Cup wins.
Yeah, I love that because we do think of you as Soccer Junkie, but as we all know, sometimes we get pinned into these specific ideas of ourselves, even though that we're multifaceted people, right? So now here you are with Re-Inc, which is really cool to see as you rehabbing, also using your voice and just other aspects of yourself, right? To have an impact and share all of your experiences that you've had, not only on the field, but off the field as well. So I'm just curious, because you just gave us a brief kind of intro into Re-Inc and how it started, but how has it evolved over these last 5 years? And what is really exciting you about the work that you're doing right now?
Yeah, it's been a massive evolution. When we started, we really just started with a mission, and that was to reimagine the status quo or reimagine the world through sport. And that was essentially just what we were doing, right? We were having success on the field and we were fighting a lot of battles off the field. And a lot of it had to do with, pay equity, but understanding our worth and being able to fight for it. So we kind of believe that progress exists kind of, in that success and also in the fighting against those structures. But we wanted to build a vehicle that we could fight for the things that we believe in. And we believe that is kind of the most effective way to progress is the fighting against and the fighting for or the building for. So with Re-Inc, we started with this mission, and we didn't really start with, like, most people start with like a product, but we believed that this wasn't just going to be a moment. Like we experienced when we won 2019 or 2015, and you both can kind of attest to this, is in 2015 there was like this massive like shift in like the landscape and in our lives, and it was at the time kind of at the beginning of social media. So like women's sports kind of like really shifted. But what we saw was like the business of kind of women's sports, like all around us, were kind of taking advantage of that shift. Whereas the players and all of kind of the structures that supported us as players, like we felt like we were so far behind, and we weren't able to take advantage of that shift. So, kind of the gap between 2015 and 2019 was a lot of learning and a lot of developing. We've revamped our Players Association, which we always say was the first business we ever created. Now it's like a thriving business, like brings lots of protection, lots of revenue into the players themselves, us included. And like honestly, it was just like a really like a crash course in being an entrepreneur, and understanding that we could actually build structures that represent us, and serve us in our community. So that was a big part. And as we know, kind of the business of women's sports has been kind of failing us all our lives. We would always be in these meetings of just frustration where we were like asking, we were always asking for things. It always felt like we didn't have what we needed, and constantly we were kind of banging on the door like, hey, like we need this in order to do our job, or like, hey, this is a good idea in order to promote us, or to like, bring in like bigger attendance, bigger numbers, all this kind of stuff. It always felt like we were asking. And I think we're at a time in women's sports, like where we don't have to ask anymore. We actually can just build things for ourselves. And I think that's a really powerful place to be. And we're just fortunate because for some reason or another, probably part of this whole synchrodestiny of like all of these paths that we've been on, I truly believe like women's sports, like the stakeholders should be the people that have been building women's sports. And I think it's a very distinct entity in sports. And I just want to like caveat the fact when we say women's sports, it's like not all about women. It's actually one of the most inclusive, the most progressive, the most forward thinking, the most beautiful community I've ever been a part of. And I think when we look at like our locker room on the U.S. Women's National Team that we've all shared in, like we can attest to the fact that like having a diverse and equitable like table is a table for progress and a table for the world to be better. And I think like where we saw so much progress were in those rooms where we just kind of like all came together and like smashed our ideas together and our experience together with so much respect and humility, and had like a goal in mind. And a lot of kind of success and progress came out of that.
Yeah, I love that. And Tobes, when we talk about Soccer Junkie, I mean, Soccer Junkie was your email address. Same with, I was Soccer Hey.
Hey, you're giving away my email address, Hey. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of numbers. So yeah, I'm sure that somebody could figure it out, but there was a lot of numbers. What was your email address, Lori? Like, have you ever had like an AIM or
your phone number?
Yes, I had, of course.
You know what I mean? Like, what was your screen name or whatever?
Roy G. Biv, the colors of the rainbow.
Roy G. Biv. Roy G. Biv. Of course, it was Roy G. Biv. Okay, we got Soccer Junkie, Soccer Heyo, and Roy G. Biv here. Let's continue this conversation. My point was, Tobin, is like, I'm just such a, like, I've always been so proud of you, and I've always been like your big sister. For anybody that doesn't know, we grew up in New Jersey together, played at PDA, the same club. And then Tobes came and played at UNC when I was a senior and she was a freshman. And then, of course, with the U.S. team. So for so much of our experience together, we've kind of had this like older sister, younger sister kind of duo, and just so much love and respect between us. And now I'm just smiling from ear to ear, just kind of hearing you talk about something so passionately, Tobin, and seeing so much growth, personal growth in you, and just seeing you embrace this new challenge has been super cool. So I know that you've kind of alluded to the fact that Re-Inc is, a movement and a feeling, but it's obviously a business and a product. So tell us a little bit more concretely, what is Re-Inc? I know it started with some gear and stuff like that, but I know it's kind of taken a lot of turns. And tomorrow I'm actually going on your program to do a watch party for the U.S. Women's National Team. So tell us a little bit about what Re-Inc encompasses.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we started in commerce. We started with a single product, which was a t-shirt. It said Liberté, Égalité, Defendez. And it was a t-shirt we made going into the World Cup because not only were we defending our World Cup title, but we were also defending these ideas of liberty and equality. And that was really important to us. And it was kind of a play on word on the French slogan that has fraternity at the end. And we wanted to like we wanted to reimagine it. That was our first thing. So we started in commerce, and we still have our commerce line. But the coolest thing, and a part that you're participating in, is actually our community platform, which was created during COVID. It was created honestly by our reimaginers, which is our community members. And they said, create us a place that we can come together around the sports and the change making. And we were kind of like, okay, it started off like super grungy, super Reddit-like. And essentially it's a place that really, when we ask our reimaginers, what do you get here? Like, we know kind of the things that we provide. We provide like connection, we provide thought partnership, we provide kind of the sports, the content, discounts on merch, stuff like that. But like, what truly is it within our community that's happening? And they say it's a sense of belonging. We find belonging here. And it just struck me so much, because I don't believe that you can put a price tag on belonging. Like, when I think about what football gave me a sense of belonging. That's what sports does. It gives you, a team. It gives you something to believe in, something to achieve for. And that's what Re-Inc to us symbolizes a community of belonging around the sports and the change making. And we all know that sports fans, like women's sports fans, have to have this tribalism, because they've had to, like, in order to like watch a game, you have to like, dig like, tunnels in the ground to find it. Like, it's like this idea that they've always had to opt in to women's sports, which has created this incredible fan, like this fan that goes beyond, I think, what is even like thought of as a sports fan. And we just created a platform to bring them together. And on our platform, we have over 60 different countries represented. Like, talk about the international game.
That's cool.
And why I love that is because the ideas of progress and equity that we have in our country, thinking about the types of topics that we talk about, like, we're talking about like when like sport for women is like against the law, when like going to games is against the law. These are the types of countries that we have within our platform to talk about these things, to create a sense of belonging in places and spaces that they might not have that. So especially like in a month like Pride, we represent like a huge queer community. And obviously football has given us a great platform to celebrate. And I love using the word celebrate the queer community, because I really feel like that's what it's about. But we in our membership create a sense of belonging. And one of our favorite series, which Heyo is going to be on, is called The Watch List. And it really just started with me like watching football games with our community, which is kind of hilarious. Like, I thought at first it was like the weirdest thing. And then it was like kind of so much fun. And it's really just like this chat, and then like me watching the games. And then all of a sudden I can't watch every game. So then our members were like, we want to create chat rooms and watch games together. So then they started creating chat rooms, and there's like team captains that watch games together. And then we've had other pros come on and watch various sports. And then obviously my friends I like bringing on. So Heyo is going to come on, and we're just going to like banter about the U.S. women's national team while we watch the U.S. women's national team. But it's just a really fun series, and it's a really like cool organic thing that has created a lot of connection within our community. And then the final thing is like our media division. And I don't know if any of you guys saw the recap show this past summer during the World Cup, which was really, really special to us.
We were busy working down in Australia, but we saw it from afar.
Yeah, exactly. And like, honestly, it came about as a frustration for us. Like, and I think you all know, because you're both in media as well, is this idea that kind of like media didn't really represent our culture. And I believe that we have such a strong culture, and we need to like embrace all of it to really feel the fullness of it, not just this like narrow version of what like one person thinks like women's athlete is. I actually think that like we had a real opportunity to really kind of bust out of those norms during this time, and we did it. And I'm happy to say the recap show is coming back, premiering on June 13th. Which is really exciting for us. Week in and week out, the recap show, the gals will be, chomping it up. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. This is super, super cool to hear, and love what you're doing, and also being able to marry, right, having a voice, bringing community together, and then also your love for football. And I know you were asking about Hey and I doing this show together, and I think that's what it is for all of us, right? We know what it feels like to be a part of a team, and just like pumped to feel like almost like a part of a family, right? And then when you retire, have to step away due to injury, how do you recreate that? So love hearing what you and Kristen are doing and bringing other people into the fold, like our buddy here, Heyo/Gao. Last one for you would know that nickname. Last one for me is what's lighting you up? I mean, you just mentioned a ton of different facets of the business, but what is like singly like getting you like so fired up every single day?
I think it's this idea that like building structures that like look and feel like us and being the stakeholders in those structures. I think like long term, like I feel really fortunate because I feel like I get to make plays on like long-term bets, which is like, I think generational, when you talk about generational change and generational wealth and like, changing who's making decisions and who has powers, like in these rooms, like still women's sports is run by men.
Yep.
Like most of our structures are created and run by men. And like, I want to be a disruption to that. And I feel like I have a very like long lens. Like, yes, I have a short lens in terms of like a couple things that I want to get going, but I have a long lens into that. And it keeps me really grounded and focused on making sure like I'm building the types of structures I want in the right way to kind of achieve those long-term goals. And I hope that I'm opening up a path to others to do the same, because ultimately, like, I want us to be proud of the structures that like we represent and we are serving. So like when you're playing on a team, like I want it to be representative of your culture, of like the things that you care about. So I think when I'm like from a business structure, like that's what gets me fired up. And from like a creating structure, because like I am very creative, the thing that is most important to me that I always do, and you guys probably laugh, you're like, Tobin would never do media. Like that is like so not her MO, right? But I just want to say, like, I return to this idea of the little version of myself, and I say, what would little Tobin have wanted? Little Tobin would have wanted to have these conversations, for me to be able to hear these voices, to have these ideas, to have these role models. My role models were all men. And I think nowadays, like when I look at what women's sports is,
I resent that, Tobin, but okay.
Although Heyo was in my there was a cutout of a newspaper article of Heyo in my bedroom growing up, because she had like made the national team when she was 10, and I was like trying to be Heyo, and you were in my closet, which was a weird place to put.
Get on out of there, Heyo.
That's weird. I slowly crept out.
1 year ago today, to be honest.
Yeah, but whenever I need a North Star, I just think like, would the small version of myself would they be proud of what I'm doing, like what I'm representing, what I'm building? Like, would I be building structures for the little version of myself? And I'm really proud to say that that's what I'm doing.
Tobin Heath, the ultimate competitor, the ultimate winner, and now the ultimate reimaginer. So proud of you, my friend, and I'm so excited to see what's to come from you. You've done so much in your life already, and just again, I'm just so proud of all the new evolutions to Tobin Heath, and love to see it. So thank you so much for coming on, Tobes. Much love.
Guys. You all are amazing. Love you.
When we come back, we'll take a look at what the NWSL is doing to celebrate Pride. This is Played In on Sirius XMFC.